We are trying to eliminate a variable. Now, what do I have to have in order to eliminate something? Positive and negative of the same number. So we know, we talked about yesterday, if I want to eliminate a number, I have to have a positive and negative of the same number. Okay? So what we did yesterday is we added, or we had to multiply by a negative 1. So if we noticed yesterday, if we had matching coefficients, if they were both negative 3 or if they were both positive 2, we multiplied by negative 1, and then we were able to add and cancel. So today we're going to ask ourselves, what do we do if there are no matching coefficients? If I look at number 1, my coefficients are 1 and 2, and my coefficients are 3 and negative 7. Will multiplying by a negative allow me to cancel anything out? No, because I don't have any two that are the same. So what we're going to have to do today, instead of just multiplying by a negative 1, we are going to multiply 1 or both equations by a number. It's going to be the same idea, except we're going to have to, instead of just multiplying by a negative 2, we are going to have to multiply by an actual number. You know how to do that. That is called distributing. And you guys all know distributing very well. So this is not really anything new math-wise. It's basically you're just distributing and then doing exactly like we did yesterday. So the difference is, instead of just multiplying, instead of just being able to add and cancel right away, or instead of just multiplying by a negative 1, we're now going to have to multiply one or both equation by a number. So let's go ahead and look at example 1. First thing you want to check is, first of all, why is this set up nicely to use elimination? How do my equations have to be set up to be able to do elimination? Standard form, which means the x and y's are lined up. These are both in standard form. Good. The x and y's are lined up, so we're going to do elimination. So we need to look, and we need to say, if I add these right now, will anything eliminate? No, because I don't have same number, opposite sign. My x is 1 and 2. My y is 3 and negative 7. So then I say, well, multiplying by a negative 1. Well, no, because neither of them are exactly the same. Multiplying by a negative 1 only works when they are exactly the same. So now we have to look and we have to see, okay, what do I want to get rid of? Do I want to get rid of my x's or y's? Let me give you a shortcut. This is kind of a way to think about this. Okay? If I look at your coefficients, look at your lowest coefficient. With my x, I have a 1, so look at your coefficients. Can I multiply 1 by something? What do I need to make this top one be to cancel out a positive 2? Can I multiply 1 by something to get a negative 2?
Negative 2.
Okay. Look at your y's. Can I multiply 3 by something to get a 7?
No.
No. So you need to look at your coefficients, and you need to look at the lowest one and say, can I multiply that by something to get the opposite of the other one? So what we're going to look at the top one, I have a positive 2x on the bottom. I need a negative 2x on the top. So I'm going to take my top equation, and I'm going to multiply or distribute through a negative 2. This is exactly like we did yesterday, except I am distributing a number, not just a negative 1. So I'm going to take a negative 2, and I'm going to distribute it through the top. And the reason I'm choosing a negative 2 is because then I will have a negative 2x and a positive 2x, so then when I add, they will cancel. So if I distribute through a negative 2, what does my top equation look like? Okay? Equals negative 12. Okay, so negative 2x minus 6y equals negative 12. The bottom equation, right underneath it, we did nothing to it, so it stays the same. So any questions on what I did there, why I chose the negative 2? Now, if you notice on your x's, I have a negative 2x and a positive 2x. Those will cancel, but I have to do what with my two equations to cancel them? Add. You always have to add your two equations. So now if I add them together, they will cancel. So So negative 2x plus 2x is gone. What is negative 6y plus a negative, thank you, negative 7y? Use the calculator if you have issues with negatives. What's a negative 6y plus a negative 7y? Negative 13y. And then what is negative 12 plus negative 1? Negative 13. This is exactly like we did yesterday. So once you after you do the distributing, it's exactly like we did yesterday. Negative 13y equals negative 13. How do I find y? Divide by the negative 13. Y is 1. Negative 13 divided by negative 13 is 1. Now, after you find one of them, it's the same for every other one you've done. When you find one of the values, how do you find the other values? Plug it in. Now, you can choose any equation. Which equation do I want to plug it in for? The top one. And you can either use the top after you distribute it or before. Before is a little easier. So I'm going to use this top equation. X plus 3 times 1 equals 6. So just like every other one we have done, once you find one, you pick an equation, plug it back in, and then you'll be able to find the other one. 3 times 1?
3.
So x plus 3 equals 6. Minus 3, minus 3. X equals 3.
3, 1.
So your ordered pair is 3, 1. Okay? So, same idea, except instead of multiplying through a negative 1, we have to actually multiply through a number.
We're going to look at one more, and then I'll let you start the homework. Let's look at number 3. So again, elimination, standard form. X and Y's are lined up, so we're thinking elimination. Will anything cancel out on number 3 as it is right now?
No.
No. The 3 and the 5 won't cancel out. The negative 1 and the 4 won't cancel out. So let's go ahead and think about, would multiplying by a negative 1 work? No. Why would multiplying by a negative 1 not work? Yeah, neither of them are the same. Negative 1 only works if they're the exact same number. But currently that's not going to work. So now what we need to do is we need to go through each coefficient, look at the smaller one, and see if I can multiply it to get the bigger one. So if I look at 3x, the bottom is a positive 5, so is there something times 3 that will give me negative 5? No. So then I move to the next one. I notice I have a negative 1 and a positive 4. Is there something I can multiply negative 1 by to get a negative 4? Positive 4. So I'm going to take my top equation and multiply by a positive 4. Because if I distribute a negative 4, that will give me a negative 4y on top, and then a positive 4y on the bottom. Michael, keep your head up, please. So go ahead and distribute. You guys know how to do this stuff. Distribute the 4. If I distribute the 4, what does it look like? Okay. Equals, yeah, use calculator. 14 times 4. 86. 56. The bottom equation, right underneath it. 5x plus 4y equals 12. Okay, go ahead and write the one. You didn't do anything with it. It's the same equation. Write it right underneath that. I don't know why I keep saying those two words because I can never pronounce those. Now if I notice, when I add, you have to add these two. When I add these two, what happens to the y's? They cancel. 12x plus 5x, 17x, y's are gone, equals, what is 56 plus 12? 68. Divide by 17, x is 4. So once you distribute, it's exactly like we did yesterday. Once you find one of the values, how do you always find the other one? Yep, plug in the 4 into any equation. Let's use the bottom one, it doesn't matter. So 5 times 4 plus 4y equals 12. I'm choosing to do the bottom one. If you choose to do the top, you'll get the same answer. It doesn't matter. You could also have picked the one after you distributed the 4 through. Be a little harder. Doesn't matter.
And all equals same.
All will be the same. 5 times 4,
20.
20, plus 4y equals 12.
Subtract 20.
Subtract 20. 4y equals 12 minus 20, negative 8. Divide by 4, y equals negative 2. Yes, you guys can do this stuff. Once you get through the distributing, it's just like we did yesterday. So 4 comma negative 2. Okay, any questions
Is this what
on
we're
those?
gonna
We're adding a few more things, but
say? Huh?
we're gonna add one more type to it, but it's the same idea.
One more.
We're gonna have to multiply both equations by now instead of just one. But
We doing that today?
yes. Okay, so here's the homework. 10 questions. Give me a second. Let me tell you which ones I want you to do. There's only 10 questions today because these take a little longer.
Got my paper?